Okay. Shh. Okay, guys. So today we're going to look at when Mashiach has come. Excited?
Very.
Yeah.
So excited.
Not yet, but we're close. What's the world going to be like once Mashiach comes? Is going to be challenging. And this is after the wars and everything else that's come with it. What's it going to be like? So the Rambam gives us a nice little historical glimpse into life once the Messiah comes. Some of it is easy to understand. We're in part B, knowledge of God. Okay, in our sheets, yeah. Sorry, I didn't number the sheets. Oh, no, 1 second, no. So 1 second. Oh, you're right, I'm sorry. Part A, I'm sorry. Keep going, then the page after. In section 4, the Messianic era. Section 4, part E.
We didn't see part C in section 3.
Yes, we did. That's fine. That's fine. Yeah, bottom of page. The Messianic era, time of peace and prosperity. That's what we're up to right now. Yes. Okay, let's start with the Rambam. So the Rambam is going to tell us a little bit of what it's like, and the Rambam says the following: V'ato'elet hagadol. What's the big purpose? What's the great benefit? That's going to exist in those days when the Mashiach comes. Who? Shenoach mishibud malchiot. The main change, he says, the main difference we're going to see once the Messiah comes is we're going to be left alone. Jews live in peace. Ultimately, the entire world is going to. But there's no more anti-Semitism, there'll be no more racism, there'll be anything. Right? All prejudice, all of that's going to go, and we're no longer, as a people, we're not going to be subjugated by other governments and other organizations and all the other bad stuff that's been happening to us for 3,500 years. What has this done to us? Right? This is what's exiled us, the pogroms and the holocausts and the terrorists and all that, gone. History. It's all over. You can walk around and say, I'm Jewish, without fear, right? Although here in America, thank God, in most parts of America, if not all of it, we're able to do that right now. This is going to be an international phenomenon. Okay? We're going to be left alone, and Israel will be at peace, and all the nations around Israel, of which most of them want to see Israel disappear, will not be doing that anymore. Sound good?
Yes.
All right? I don't know what's going to be on the news. New York Times will have to close. New York Times won't have any stories anymore. It's going to be like a couple of football scores and that's about it, you know? That's what's going to happen, okay? And all of this has prevented us from being Jewish, you know, anti-Semitism, right? So you have to live a Jewish life. That's what he says, right? Who prevented doing mitzvot, right? What people think about us, the psychological and the spiritual and physical, in fact, gone, no problem. Right? And that's why Isaiah the prophet, chapter 11, verse 9 says, Ki malares deya, right? That's Hashem combined, liyam machasim. The world is going to be full of knowledge. The entire world is going to change. As we said, the Messianic revelation is not just for any one people, any one group. It's going to affect the entire world. And just as Isaiah the prophet, the entire world is going to be full of water, just like an ocean is full of water that covers the seabed, so too knowledge of God is going to cover the entire world. That is a metaphor. There's not going to be a flood. I'm very clear with you. Right? That was promised after the time of Noah. No more floods. But there is going to be knowledge of God that's going to pervade the entire world. Okay? War will cease. No more war at all anywhere. Okay? No war at all anywhere is also part of the post-Messianic reality. Says the Rambam, V'yishtom hamilchamot, right? All of the wars are going to stop, as very famously Isaiah says, chapter 2, verse 4, V'chititu charvosam le'itim v'chaniotehem lamazmerot. They shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. They don't know where that is written, besides in the book of the Bible. On the side of the United Nations, ironically, right? The idea that one day war will cease and all of our military hardware, I don't think this is literal. Some understand all these prophecies of the prophets and the Messianic era as being literal. They take them literally, but some say no. It means there'll be no more warfare. All the money we spend on these warfares, which is in most countries through the roof, will not going to be there, and we'll be able to be involved in peaceful activities. Loisa goy el goy cherev. One nation will not lift up a sword against another nation. And there will be no more war to be learned. I guess West Point will close. So visit now. Not such a far journey, actually. Right? Or from Muncie, where I live, anyway.
Is it from Jew who lives there? He's a colonel.
Yes, absolutely right. And a woman as well. There's a Shema Shabbat girl there as well, going to West Point. Yes, absolutely. From yeshiva. Okay. Gone. The year Nimsa b'yam mehem. What's going to happen in those days? Shleimut rav v'niska bo l'chayram haba. In those days, will be ultimate perfection and will merit the life of Olam Haba. That is what it's going to be like. Okay? He carries on and says, Amnam, however, Yomot HaMashiach, when Mashiach comes, whose Zman, Shiv HaMelech Yisrael, Eretz Yisrael. We're going to have kingship return to Israel. Okay? All the Jews will return to Israel, as we said. The Osa Malach Gadol Ma'od is going to be very, 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 very great king. Right? Beis Malchato B'Tzion, and his throne, his palace will be, and the center of his empire will be in Tzion. What does Tzion refer to? Actually, it refers to Jerusalem. Later on, it refers to, I told you this already, no?
Yeah.
Tzion is Jerusalem, and eventually it refers to all of Israel. Then anyone who loves Israel is a Zionist. Comes from Tzion. I told you where Tzion comes from, right? Tzion comes from the Hebrew word. Anybody? You mentioned this already. Right, Mutsuyan, beautiful, amazing, right? That's what life is going to be like once again. We're going to make Israel great again. Okay, the you also Malach Adol Ma'od Beis Malchato B'Tzion Yigdal Shemo V'Zachruye Male Goyim as Yotem El Melech Shlomo. He's going to be famous. He's going to be more famous and more respected than Shlomo Melech, which we said already. The time of Shlomo Melech was the high point. King Solomon was the high point in Jewish history, so great we didn't even take converts at that time. It was such a great point. We were nervous of their implications, their motivations rather. All the world's going to make peace with him. The countries will serve on account of his great righteousness. They're going to come and visit him, and Israel's going to become the epicenter of the world, right? As actually pretty much is today, right? That's what everyone talks about. I mean, now they just want to destroy us, but at that point, anyone who tries to fight or come against that time will be a high point. They're just going to be sent away, right? It's not going to be successful, and we're going to see this great miracle happen. I'd like to share with you, however, the greatest miracle Mashiach comes, and this miracle far surpasses everything else we discussed so far. Right? Far surpasses the temple coming down in flames from the heavens. It surpasses the Mashiach coming in on a fiery horse, whatever you want to understand. Everything comes down to this one thing. Not only will the non-Jews not want to hurt us, but we are actually going to have peace among the Jewish people. All the factions, all the Jews are going to be Ish Echad, Belev Echad. Where do we see this? The last time we saw it was not at my son, daughter's bar mitzvah. I'll tell you that right now, all right? Right? And not at your uncle's, the 50th wedding anniversary. No, that was war. This is real peace, right? And this is going to be the peace of all the Jews uniting together under one banner. Ish Echad B'Lev Echad, just like we saw at Mount Sinai, which is when that phrase came to. So too says Ezekiel the prophet, chapter 37, verse 22. Vasiti otam l'goy echad. They're going to become one nation. Ba'aretz b'hari Yisrael melech echad yelech kulam. And one king. So I understand this. All the Jewish people, right? You can't even agree whether a window should be open or closed in a synagogue, whether the AC should be on and off, right? All the Jewish people are going to agree that this is Mashiach, and we subjugate ourselves to this king. Okay? That means whether you're Hasidic, you could be Satmar, you could be Sephardic, right? You could be Persian, you could be Syrian. Well, maybe not Syrians, right? But everyone, I'm kidding. Right? The Ashkenazim and the liberal Jews and the progressive Jews and the orange Jews, right? Everyone is going to unite, says Ezekiel the prophet. That is a sign Mashiach has arrived. All together, one place, one people, under God. That's what we're looking forward to. Okay? The Rambam carries on in the Laws of Kings. Right? More details. So, Oto Azman, Lo Yesham, Lo Rav, there's going to be no more famine. We would have figured out famine. Gone. No more hungry people. Anywhere in the entire world. Right? Now, once again, this could come through miraculous means, or it can come through mundane, scientific means, I guess we would call it today. Right? No more hunger anywhere. People in Africa have what to eat. Middle East, going to have water. It's going to be worked out. Right? We worked out. V'lo yisham lo rav, v'lo milchama, v'lo kina. No more jealousy. Right? V'lo tachrit, and no more competition. Shatova tiyeh moshpeh harbeh. Good and goodness will be bountiful. V'chol hama. This is the Rambam speaking. By the way, the Rambam speaking Hilchah Malachim over here. Right? This is obviously very central to the whole messianic revelation, drama. V'chol hama dinim mitzuyun kafar. All delicacies are going to be found like dust. Whatever you want is going to be available, whether this is through miraculous means or genetic modification, I'm not sure, but whatever it is, it's all going to be there and available to everyone, says the Rambam. V'lo yeh esek kol ha'olam. And the whole world will have one job, and that is eladat Hashem bilvad, that God is God of the entire world. Right? We have to get involved in spiritual activities. We'll have more time to involve in spiritual activities. V'lefikach Yisrael chacham gedolim. Therefore, the Jewish people were considered very great people. The Yodim Devarim Hastum, and they're going to understand the deepest secrets of existence. Right? The knowledge level at that time somehow is going to be incredible. Okay? Interestingly, he says the Chachamim, right? Chachma. Right? We have Deya, which is information, and that we already have. We have that on our fingertips. Any question you have, you just look it up nowadays, right? I mean, we humans, 2016, have become augmented beings. Right? We just walk around with vast amount of knowledge in our hands. Right? But that should not be confused with wisdom. Right? Wisdom is going to increase as well. Yes, Julia Fisher.
I guess I just don't understand the point.
Point of what?
Why does Hashem want a bunch of people to serve him when it's so clear that he's there? So it's not like we're even making a choice. It's not even the
right. We're going to talk about Bechira is actually going to reduce. Some say disappear completely. Right? It's bad. It's hard. You know what? I get asked this question all the time. And the truth is, maybe there's people greater than me, I don't fully understand it. And I'll tell you why I don't fully understand it. Not the question, the answer. And that is that we live in a world where we exist with free will, with struggle. Right? Everything about us. So we think that's the norm. Right? But if we go back to the beginning of how we started, Adam, Rishon, and Gan Eden didn't have that. We had it to some degree. But that's what we want to get back to. So we can't, it's like I tell my kids, it's trying to think of a different color. You ever tried to do that before? It's like, I can't because I only have the colors that are in front of me. It's a whole new reality, a whole new existence. We can only describe it. We can't understand it because we have free will. It's out of our context to even understand. The other stuff we understand, right? We're going to see as well, Tom is going to say that all sickness will disappear. Now, if I would have told you, well, you weren't alive 30 years ago, but I would have told someone 30 years ago that we solved cancer, right? If I were to tell you 30 years ago that there's no more blind people, you're like, what are you talking about? Right? But if I told you right now that in 5 years they're going to cure blindness, not so crazy. Right? 5, 10 years. Right? If I told you no more deaf people, 5, 10 years, right? Not so crazy. 5 years. Like, I hear that. Like, literally. You know, so things are speeding up. We're getting to a place where things which were completely out of our purview of understanding suddenly become very, very possible. And that's going to happen. And happen at Har Sinai. We know that all the Ruas HaKolas, they saw the sounds, which means those who could not see saw, those who could not hear heard. Right? It changes. It's going to be a massive change. So the answer to your question is, I don't know. I can't understand that. But that is the optimal way, where we just live a good life, where people are able to and just get involved in spiritual activities without something blocking us. That's considered to be the greatest good, and that's an olam haba thing. That is not an olam hazeh thing. We can't even. We're so used to, like, I don't want to give a harsh example like that, but a person so used to being abused that they get used to the abuse, right? And then non-abuse becomes, oh, I can't handle it. Give me the abuse again. It's like heaven forbid, the beaten wife goes back to the husband, right? Or the Jewish people want to go back to Mitzrayim. Like, what are you doing? You know it's not going to work for you over there. And yet, but that's all I know.
So then how is there going to be Olam Haba in the times of Mashiach?
Times of Mashiach was said is a part of Olam Haba. It is the prelude to Olam Haba. It's one of the three forms of Olam Haba, the next world, we said. It starts there. Olam Haba, we said, really comes after Tchiat HaMeitim. Which means for the people who are alive at that moment, the Gemara says in Shabbat they will die, in a good way, not a bad way, and then come up again, like moments later. Tchiat HaMeitim is really what Olam Haba is about.
Why do they need to die? They should come back.
I don't know. They have to go through that. The Shabbos go through that. The Gemara in Shabbos says that they're going to die, those people alive, but not death through the Yetzer Hara, or through the Satan, but death from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's a good death. The souls will leave them. Actually, we saw that by Har Sinai as well. The Midrash tells us that everyone's soul left them for a few moments. Remember that? And Hashem had to revitalize them, resurrect them, even over there.
But then Hashem learned his lesson, not learned his lesson, and got
That was for a good reason. That wasn't very bad. It was a good experience. I know. It's hard. It's hard for us to understand these things. I understand. It's so difficult. Like I said, it's like thinking of a different color. I can't pick it up. So we just read the words, right? And say, fine. You know? Sounds good. Something to look forward to. Lefikach yu Yisrael chachamim gedolim v'yodim devarim astumim v'yasigu das baram kafi koach adam. They will attain knowledge of God as much as soon as possible. As Isaiah says, et Hashem k'mayim liyam lachasim. Just as the water covers the seabed, so too we'll have knowledge. Says Isaiah the prophet, the nations of the world are going to come to Israel, to Jerusalem, and they're going to want to learn. That's going to be the epicenter of world learning, right? Not New York, not Brooklyn, not anywhere else. It's going to be Eretz Israel. It's going to be the epicenter. Says Isaiah the prophet. At the end of days, Nachon yeh Beit Hashem, Barosh ha'arim. Right? God's temple will be in the top of all mountains. That's referring to the mountain in Jerusalem, Harabayit. V'nisim migvad v'naru elav kol hagoyim. And all the nations of the world are going to stream there. Stream to the place. Let's go. El Har Hashem, to the house, to the mountain of God. El Beit Elokei Yaakov, to the house of the Lord of Jacob. V'yareinu midrachav. We're going to learn what to do. V'nelcha v'chorotav. We're going to follow his ways. Ki mitzion tzeitzei Torah udvar Hashem Yerushalayim, as we sing on Simchat Torah. Right, it's a reference to this. That's where it comes from. Why? Because mitzion, because from Zion, from Jerusalem comes Torah, and the word of God from Jerusalem. Okay? That is what we're going to see. Knowledge is going to be increased. Not only that, not only the Torah Bichtav, next page, note 3, but also Torah Sheba'al Peh. V'ekar hitgala b'Torah Sheba'al Peh ya'aldei Mashiach. The main revelation of the oral law will come through Mashiach. There are many challenges that were not answered in the Gemara. They were left open. They were left as contradictions. They were teku. You see sometimes we say in the Torah teku. Teku. Tov. Yud Kuf Vav. Tishbi. Yitaras Kushos Ubayos. Tishbi, referring to Eliyahu Navi, will come and will answer all of our questions. Many times there's arguments in the Gemara and they're like teku. Right? So when you yeshiva and it says teku, you're like, oh, we don't know the answer. But actually means we will know the answer. There'll be a time in the future when Elijah the prophet comes and all of our questions, by the way, not just like quote unquote halachic Torah questions and Gemara questions, but all questions, right, are going to be answered at that time. Why everything happened right through history. Every single challenge of difficulty will be answered at that time. Right? No stone will be left unturned. You want to know why something happens in your family. You want to know why the Holocaust happened. You want to know why the Inquisition happened. You want to know why anything occurred through Jewish history. The Jews have to be in exile, why the Jews have to end up in China, why the Jews have to be in France and be persecuted over there, why Jews are in Britain. Any question you have, boop, answer's going to be there. It's going to be Elijah Googled is going to be available for all of us. Okay? And that's why Torah, listen, it's hard for us to understand this. The closer we can get to this is Shabbat, right? Julian, answer? Remember, Shabbat is the metaphor for Olam Haba. Right? It's Me'ein Olam Haba, as we sing on Shabbat. So if you understand the next world, it's very difficult. But understand Shabbat, right? You can't work on Shabbat, right? We don't get into arguments on Shabbat. All right? It's all there. It's all about Shabbat. So if you understand that, understand everything. One of the things on Shabbat we know is the Torah you learn on Shabbat is far superior and worth a lot more than the Torah you learn during the week. You leave bit of Torah on Wednesday afternoon, on Thursday morning with Rabbi Hajioff. That's all wonderful, right? It's a mitzvah. We're learning Torah. And get credit for it as well at the university. It's nice, right? However, you learn the same Torah on Shabbat, much, 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 much greater. That is Kodesh Kodashim. That is the Holy of Holies. That's a given. So if that's true, then the Torah at the time of Yemot Mashiach, because one is a metaphor for the other, right? It's Shabbat is a crunch. Actually, according to some opinions, you don't even get to Olam Haba without keeping at least one Shabbat. You've got to keep Shabbat in order to get to Olam Haba. It is the portal. Is the way to why that is. You have to understand what Shabbat is and what it represents, which we'll do next semester. But if you understand what Shabbat really is, you'll see it's the ultimate portal, entryway, into Olam Haba. You've got to let's keep one Shabbat in your life in order to get into Olam Haba. If you're able to. That's really the way it is. Okay? So that's what we're looking for. At that time, when there'll be absolute peace and knowledge of God, and the Torah learned at that time will be, we can't even fathom how amazing it's going to be. Okay? Part C. This is the hard part. This is the part where things get very difficult for us, because again, we don't fully understand this, but the Torah tells us, and this is the Ramban, that there'll be a time, and he bases this on the Pesukim in Devarim, God bless you, Lamed Vav, and over there it says that Umal Hashem Elokecha, the Lord your God, is going to circumcise et levavcha, your hearts. How do you circumcise a heart? That does not mean you're getting heart surgery. Okay? It means that the boundary, the blockage around our hearts will be removed. That is what it's referring to. Ved levav zarecha, and the hearts of your children, la'ahava, and that will allow you to love et Hashem Elokecha, the Lord your God, for the length of the days as you shall live. Right? That's the verse from Devarim. Says the Ramban, this actually is a prophecy for the messianic era. And this circumcision of the heart means that the blockage that stops us connecting to HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to disappear. And what is that? That's the Yetzer Hara. The evil inclination is going to be weakened, and some say removed. Let's see the Ramban inside, because it's a wild idea, and how it's going to play out, it's hard for us to understand, but it will be so clear that something is right, something is wrong, that we won't even be drawn towards the wrong. Again, for us to even put that into our finite brains, right? When all we think about is doing wrong, well, I do, not you, because you're, but says the Ramban, Ki mizman habriya, this is very important, please look inside. Note 1. From the time of creation, hayta reshut biyad adam, a person had the ability, the permission, if you will, right? La'asot kirtzono, to do as they wish. Tzaddik or Rasha. Good decisions, become a tzaddik, or Rasha, become a bad person. That is the nature of this world. Says the Ramban, that is the nature of Olam Hazeh. Says the Rambam elsewhere, we do not understand this. This concept of free will, how we have free will, God knows everything, that is the concept of Yediyah versus Bechira, God's knowledge, as opposed to our free will. He says you can try to understand it, there's books written on it, we never fully understand it, only God knows how that works. How God knows what's going to happen in the future, yet we still have free will to choose it. Right? That's the famous Yediyah versus Bechira, God's knowledge versus our free choice decision. However, one thing's for sure is that we have free will. God gave us the ability to choose good or bad. We can choose whether to be nice to other people or not be nice, to speak Lashon Hara or not speak Lashon Hara, to keep Shabbat or break Shabbat, whatever it is, you're given that free will. Okay? Now, for everyone, it's different. For some people, keeping Shabbat is less of free will than his father's. Right? It's dependent on the individual. Nachon? Some people have a desire to go and kill people. Okay? They don't do it. They've exercised their free will. They are rewarded for it. Right now, Sarah Cousins may want to go outside and kill 5 people on the street. And unbeknownst to us, she's controlling herself from doing that. I use you because you probably do. I'm only kidding about that. So, by doing that, by not standing up, going outside, taking a rock and banging people on the head outside, she's being rewarded for that. And that's her free will decision. Okay? The rest of us may not have that desire. I'm only kidding, right? You don't really have that, right? You never know nowadays. People get very offended, you know. Dear Rabbi Hedgehoff, did you have to use me as an example of a mass murderer? That's what it's like now. However, the rest of us, or a person does not have that desire, they get some reward for it. Right now, all of us are being rewarded for not going outside and killing someone. Know that? Right. You're being rewarded right now for killing someone. Do you have a desire to do that?
Well,
You do. It's tiny. There's a small part of everyone, like tiny, right? Like, right? It's like, I want to go outside. But it's not really a massive desire. So you're rewarded for it, just not that greatly. But you get reward for it. You're being rewarded, says the Gemara, right now for not going out and drinking blood of an animal. Anyone want to drink the blood of an animal? Just like, poke a cow and drink the blood out of it? Right? You're not allowed to do that. It's a Torah prohibition. Right? But you're rewarded for that. Says the Gemara, I believe in Makot, that Hashem did us a great favor. He gave us mitzvot, which are challenging, and some mitzvot are easy for us. That for most of us is easy. If it's not easy for someone, right? They're a blood drinker, right? They're the Idi Amin Dada of the Jewish world. For example, they want to just drink blood. So they get rewarded for not doing it. So free will is not just a general national reality, it's a personal reality as well. All those levels on a personal, on a subjective or objective level will be removed.
If the whole point of right now is to perfect ourselves.
Yes.
And like you just said, it's like Hashem does us a favor by making a lot of things
Yes.
easy and like the hard things that are really hard for people. I feel like it's amazing because if we're able to pursue it,
Yes.
you get so much more reward and you perfect yourself. And
You
all
do.
That.
You do.
So I don't really get I don't get why all of that is taken away when Mashiach comes. Because then what's the point of anything?
You see, I know. You asked the same question that Julia did a moment ago. And the short answer is, we don't fully understand because we're so used to the struggle, right, that's all we understand. But that's not the way it's meant to be. Hashem did not create the world that way. Hashem created the world that we should just live good lives. I don't know how better to put it. We should be in Gan Eden.
But I feel like this is a good life. You know what I mean? It's like it's hard.
That's because you're a very positive person, Mina. And all the struggles you have in life, you consider to be ways to come close to Hashem. And you're being richly rewarded for that right now. God bless you. However, that's not the ideal state. The ideal state is that she doesn't have that and just gets involved in good activities. Like Shabbat. On Shabbat, I have no desire to answer the phone on Shabbat. I just don't have it. The phone rings, I just don't want to pick it up. Actually, I love it. So what's it? Am I being rewarded for that? It goes, well, that's just because I'm in that world. You're in a different world. It's a different existence. I just don't have a desire to go to work. Actually, I don't have a desire during the week either, to be honest with you. But on Shabbat, at least I get rewarded for it. Yes.
I just feel like I don't understand the point because it's like having like an army of robots. It's like if someone's in a wheelchair and they listen to me when I speak, they have no choice, they can't move. And why do you want that?
I am a spiritual robot.
I don't understand why
I make
want
kiddush.
people who like.
You're right. I get
wanted to
spiritual robots is really what malachim are. Right? Angels are really, if you think about it, they are free of free will, and they are spiritual. They just get the job done.
Am I gonna know that I lost my free will, or like why?
You'll want, yes, you'll be. You're not going to be like a robot. You will want to. It won't be a question for you. Just like you have no desire right now to go outside and kill someone. Do you have that desire right now? No. Do you feel your life is any less because of that? So your free will in that area is gone. You have no free will in that area. You're saying that's good, but you've conquered it. In other words, it won't just happen. We'll have reached a point where we have conquered it, we've overcome it, right? So you'll be able to enjoy the fact that you don't have that desire anymore. So now, it's easy for you to say for killing someone, but when it comes to, I don't know, something else that people desire, right? Like eating non-kosher food, which, okay, for some people, I just no desire to go to McDonald's, right? Although when I pass those carts on the street, I have desires, I could buy one of those things. That's okay, by the way. What? The little doggy thing? Oh, that's delicious. No, it's not good. So I have no desire for that. So if you have no desire for it, it's not saying that, well, I've lost my free will. That is like, I've overcome it. I've reached the end of a point where I've overcome it. So it doesn't mean you're a robot. It just means you've done well enough. I just don't have desire to answer the phone on Shabbat. Am I a robot on Shabbat? No, I've overcome that desire.
But I feel like when you only have one sole desire, you're kind of like...
Well, you have many, many desires, but you've overcome all of them.
But our only one is going to be to serve Hashem, not have anything else.
As you do on Shabbat. Why did I not answer the phone on Shabbat? Because I have one desire to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and that's a good thing. Like the free will's gone. Is that a bad thing? Maybe that's. I mean, I'm giving an example. It's the only metaphor I can think of. Shabbat was given to us as a metaphor for the next world. So maybe that's the way to understand it. Yeah, does that work? I mean, it's the best I can do. Sorry, that's all I got. It's not, there's room for improvement. I'm just saying, there's room for improvement over there. Okay, that's what the Ramban says.
But we're not going to have any more like merit if you
You will. It'll all be merit. Just like on Shabbat, right? You get merit for learning, and then what is the merit? You come close to Hashem. But it'll be tangible. The reward will be tangible. Now it's not. Everything after the sin of Adam and Rishon, we said, it all became grey. It's going to become black and white again. Right? Again, we're so used to this world of galut, of darkness, that we're like, but when the lights are turned on, like, oh my God, now I can see. Why would I sit in darkness again? I won't want to. Personally, I'm looking forward to that. Because I find this whole galut thing very, very miserable, if you ask me. Okay? Okay, fine. This is very interesting. Really, these are very deep ideas saying over here, but this is where we're going. Right? I mean, this is what I said to you at the beginning of the semester, if you remember, all those months back. That everything comes full circle from Gan Eden, goes right through history, and then back to Gan Eden again. But you'll have achieved it. You would have earned it. The earned reward. So that's what he says. He says everyone had the ability to choose good or bad. It was like that right through the Torah giving as well. Why? So that people would have merit, with their free will. B'tov, va'onesh, whether good, right? Va'onesh and punishment, b'rasatam baraf, they did bad. Aval Yamato Mashiach, says the Ramban. Here's the punchline, follow inside. Tia b'chira b'tov, lehem teva. Choosing good becomes your nature. It'll be your nature will to do good. Doesn't mean that you've become a robot. It means that's become your nature. It's your teva, right? It's just going to be good. You should be looking forward to this, by the way. Right? And your desire, there'll be no desire for that which is not correct. Right? People just won't want it. You won't want to do the wrong thing. Just like when you improve yourself and you don't want to, I don't know, hit your father, which when you're a 2-year-old you do, you know, right? About your mother, right? When you get older, I would never do that, you know, because I need money, right? So you're never going to do that kind of thing, right? But at that point, I don't, because I don't want to do it. Have you lost your free will? No. I mean, well, in that area, yeah. I've improved it. Is this making sense? Are we hammering home the same point again and again and again? Yes? Hello?
You lose your free will when you stop.
You lose it. When you get to a point, you give up your free will. That's what we're saying.
What? You don't
Get to a point.
you just don't want to do it, so you don't do it.
That's you, as it were, giving you free will. I don't have free will in that area because I don't need it. I've overcome it. It's not a decision for me, right? It's just not a question for me. Like I said, I just don't have a desire to get in my car and drive around on Shabbat. So in that case, I've given up my free will. I've gone past it.
You could feasibly do it.
I can physically do anything.
Therefore, you have free will.
I do have free will. I still have free will, but you can overcome it. That's why they say David HaMelech overcame his. He killed the Yetzer Hara. Right? What does that mean? He still had desire, but he overcame it. Most areas of life he overcame. Could he have? Yeah, I could. Would? No. It would take a lot. It would take a lot to make you do that.
Even if you do overcome a desire in a particular instance, you still have free will to do
You do have free will. When you're in this world, everyone has free will. But you can get to a point where you give up your free will, meaning you've surpassed it. That no longer is a challenge for you.
What do you mean you surpassed it?
Okay. Let's do it like this.
Okay.
Now I see that there's a lot of quizzical looks on everyone's faces. So let's do it. Rav Dessler explains it like this. He explains free will in a nice essay, and he says it's like this. He says, imagine a war. I think he did the Russian-French, Franco-Prussian war, whatever it was, but we'll use a modern-day battle. And you have two sides, okay? Okay? And here's the other side. Alright? This is old now. We're not that close to each other. Well, maybe we do, actually. So you have two sides, okay? You have one side, fight the other side. He says, where is the battle? Where does the battle take place? Is the battle taking place over here? No. Is the battle taking place over here? No. The battle takes place on what we call the front line over there. And he calls this the point of free will. Okay, where the battle's taking place. You have a desire to do good, you desire to do bad, whether it's right here, which is different for everyone. Some people battle to kill each other. Now, I don't have that desire, that's over here. Right? I overcame my desire to kill people. it gets close, I get testy, but not really to go out and start just killing random people. For some people, that's a real battle. They're fighting that. Right? For some people, the battle is, do I keep Shabbat at all? Some people, do I turn up to synagogue on time for Shabbat? Some people, do I have kavanah? Right? Do I speak Lashon Hara at all? Right? Or do I stop speaking Lashon Hara for 5 minutes a day? Everyone's got their own battle, but if everyone is at one point, then he says, fine, let's say you grow up and you improve yourself spiritually. Okay? And now the battle line moves. See, it's no longer over here. This becomes conquered territory. Right? And now the exits get closer. Now the battle is, I don't know, do I look for a good hashgacha? Or do I make a bracha? Right? Whatever it is, the spiritual terms, right? Do I speak? And it comes like that. So the battle moves. Can it come back? Yeah. Battle lines move backwards and forwards. But really the battle is in one place and one place only. And that is right in between the struggle. For everyone it's different. Okay. So eventually you can move both ways, but you conquer territory.
Yeah,
Right? So over here is the desire to kill people. Over here is the desire to eat non-kosher food. Right? For some people, that's just not a desire anymore. Could they do it? Yeah. I could walk into McDonald's and eat a burger. If you see me doing that, please judge me favorably. But chances are, I'm not going to do it right. You just don't expect to see someone become... Right? But then, for me, do I speak Lashon Hara? Right? Do I lose my temper with my kids? Do I, turn up for time for minyan? Right? Everyone has their own personal thing. So what we're saying is the Yetzer Hara is still there, but it becomes conquered. Just like you conquer a piece of land in a battle, right? So too you conquer that. That's how Rav Dessa understands this.
Right, but I don't see this as the line representing free will. I see it as it representing conflict with inner desire.
That's exactly what free will is. Free will is, that's what I said, that's how we define in Bechira. Bechira, I should probably start with this. Right? Bechira are free will decisions that we have. Alright? Which we left, the ethical and moral decisions we make. That's the free will decision. Alright? In various situations that Hashem, God puts us in. That's how we're defining free will. Right? That's the definition of Bechira.
Wait, what? We're defining
The definite free will are the moral, ethical decisions we make at circumstances that, in most cases, are put in our lives out of our control or through previous choices. If you want to read, it's a great essay, Rav Dessler. It's an English Strive for Truth. He has a nice short essay of very easy to read, a little Kabbalistic, but very beautiful, and he describes it.
Well, even with that definition, doesn't mean that it goes away.
It never goes away, but it becomes conquered. You can conquer parts of your personality. Okay.
Conquer free will.
You overcome it. You overcome the desire to do bad. Right? I grew up with a desire to do whatever, and now I've conquered it and I don't have that desire anymore. We're going the other way. I grew up with no desire for it, and now I do desire it. It goes both ways. That's all. Nothing weird or mysterious. Says Ezekiel the prophet, chapter 36:26. V'natati lachem, I'm going to give you leiv chadash, a new heart, v'ruach hadasha, and a new spirit. Atem b'kirbachem inside you. V'asiroti, and I'm going to remove et leiv ha'even, the stone heart, mi bisarchem, from your flesh. V'natati lachem leiv basar, I'll give you a heart of flesh. Again, this does not mean certain, call it the cardiologist, right, for a heart transplant, heaven forbid. It's a spiritual message. Says Rashi, leiv chadash, what is a new heart? Yetzer shnetchadesh l'tova. A yetzer, an inclination that is renewed for the better. That's how Rashi understands this. Okay? Okay. This was tough stuff. I'm not pretending this is easy. Okay? Until it happens, we're not going to fully understand it. But that's what the commentators are telling us. Turn over the page. Yes.
Sorry,
Don't apologize for asking
you learned
questions.
that when Mashiach comes, 2/3 of the world are gonna die. Where does that?
Whoa! Where'd you get that from?
You always learn that in high school that only the people who are righteous to merit Mashiach are gonna live.
Who told you that?
High school that you're gonna be on a rope and then
That's
you
right,
shake the rope and then people fall.
Oh, so I remember that rope.
Did I
Right.
make that up?
No. It's wrong. No, there's something to it. There's not mean. First of all, any negative, if it's part of a prophecy, which is not, right? There's some midrashim on Gog and Magog that says many people will die, right? You got to hold on. These are metaphors. However, no negative prophecy, if that is even a prophecy, which I don't think it is, no, it has to happen. We said already, right? That's a basic concept. Every positive prophecy must have to happen. Right? It's a promise, but a negative one, we do teshuva for, circumstances to dictate that it won't happen that way. Right? And according to many commentators, every single Jewish person is going to be in Eretz Yisrael, and we're all going to return. There's plenty of room. right? Plenty of room in the Negev, right? They're already making it bloom for us, preparing in the Golan, which is my wife's favorite part, right? Up there, right? All good, all going to arrive, everyone's going to get through.
What if you were like really bad and you don't get Olam Haba?
Yeah, we always learn like 2
Kol, when we discuss Olam Haba, we'll get to it. We're going to do 2 classes on Olam Haba, God willing, we get to it. Kol Yisrael Yeshem Chelek Olam Haba. Everyone has a place in Olam Haba. How big a portion, in what way, that's open for discussion. But everyone gets a place in Olam Haba. Okay? There's the good news. Now we've just got to figure out how to get there. There's a beautiful publication, R.A. Kaplan, where a lot of the teachings, this is the derech I followed in this course, by the way. If you want to know where most of the information I've been spouting has come from, it's using R.A. Kaplan. Anyone heard of R.A. Kaplan before? He was a very great rabbi who taught a lot. Actually, I was on a Pesach program as a rabbi. He comes and goes, "What's going on? My name's Kaplan." I said, "Really?" And I don't know why I asked. I said, "Are you right to R.A.?" He goes, "Yeah, it was my father." I was like, "What?" And everyone around me was like, "Never heard of him." I'm like, "Do you know who his father was?" And I said something interesting. I said, "Wow, what was it like growing up in your father's house?" And ask anyone who grew up in the house of a great man or woman. And they always say the same thing. What do they always? I've asked a few people who grew up in houses of like great people. And they always say the same thing. What's that? Very normal. It's my dad. It was my Abba. Right? It was my mother. Very normal people. It's like, did the washing up. Right? Had to go to work. Right? Just very nice people. We had a lot of guests. And that was it, really. It's very normal.
Isn't he the Kabbalistic guy?
Yes. He actually translated tremendous Kabbalistic books. Right? The Sefer Bahir. Right, which is like, even the translation, like, what is this? Sefer Yetzirah? I mean, these are like, he was very, very Kabbalist. He was actually Sephardi, originally. Actually, he was actually Hasidic, but yeah, he had a PhD in physics as well. He was a genius. There's a great video of him actually being interviewed on some Sunday morning television show by some non-Jewish priest talking about his books. It's fascinating. His books have, one of his books, A Jewish Meditation, A Practical Guide, is one of his classics, a very thin book. I remember reading that as a young man. It changed my life. I'm not into meditation. I can't meditate. I'm too ADD. But the book is very, very brilliant. Seriously, if you want to read a good, fantastic Jewish book, Jewish Meditation, A Practical Guide by R.A. Kaplan. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. So in the book, which he has called The Real Messiah, talking about Mashiach, he says the following. Although man will still have free will in Messianic age, he will have every inducement to do good and follow God's teaching. This is the Ramban's Rabbi Kaplan's understanding of the Ramban. It will be as if the power of evil were totally annihilated. So it's not going to disappear, but it's going to be as though it has. Right? And as man approaches this lofty level, he will also become worthy of divine providence, not limited by the laws of nature. What is now manifestly miraculous will eventually become the nature of things. Right? Become natural. Just if I told you there'll be no more blind people, that's a miracle. Well, you could see that maybe that'll become just the way it is. We'll have figured out how to cure blindness, God willing, This, wedded to man's newly gained powers to bring forth the best that untainted nature is to offer, will bring man to his ultimate destiny, which is the world to come. He's actually defining what the world to come is. You see, this is very important, and we'll go more into this next class. But the idea of the world to come is not some other location you go to, right? We said the world to come happens here. It's just a world to come as in the future, where you will just be goodness. Right? That is the world to come. What is the world to come? Whatever you make yourself into this world becomes your Olam Haba. Right? It says the Gemara, just like a person has to prepare before Shabbat in order to eat on Shabbat, because you can't cook on Shabbat. So too, if you prepare yourself in Olam Hazeh, you get to eat of your own labors in Olam Haba. That means you are your own world to come. Right? It's a what? It's a state a person is in. Yeah?
But Olam Haba happens in this world?
It's going to happen. Well, Olam Haba is, Gan Eden we said is the next world when a person passes away. But then Mashiach occurs in this world, and Tchiat Meta happens in this world. So Olam Haba isn't some other location. It means the world to come in the future. That's what it means. But it's going to happen here. Mashiach is going to come to earth. Tchiat Meta is going to happen on earth.
And then Olam Haba is after that?
Then after that. Right? It's a time, not a place.
What do you mean you're your own Olam Haba?
whatever you create yourself into becomes your olam haba. You eat of your own payroll. We'll discuss this next class in more detail. So, if you don't mind, hold on for 1 second. Okay, Nimsa Efa, Shkufa Yom Mashiach. We find the era of Mashiach, says Rav Chaim Freelander, right? Amnam Yebo Kyum Torah Mitzvah will be a time of Torah Mitzvah. Ella, Shesuga Bechira Yeshana, different form of Bechira, right? Just like the Ramban defines as Bechira B'teva. It'll become a natural will. It's not free will, it's a natural. That's a great definition, right? Free will is going to go. Now it's going to be a natural will to do good. That's good. That's a nice thing, right? Bechira Teva. Hanova Metoch Hakara, which is going to come from the absolute recognition, Ma'oras Hashem, that what Hashem wants. At that time, that's just what people are going to want to do. Which will come through tremendous knowledge. How do we get to that point? Through tremendous knowledge and awareness. We're going to be so aware. We have such a spiritual clarity. We'll see actually, according to the prophets, we'll all become prophets. That's how we're going to get to that point. Right? And that through that we'll merit the next world. We'll ascend from one level to the next of perfected form of Avodat Hashem. Right? And all of creation will be fixed up at that time. Free will be nullified. Legamri, totally. In Bittul Yetzirah, the Yetzirah will be killed as well. We'll see many references in the Gemara to the killing of the Yetzirah. This is what it means. This is what it's referring to. Right? And that's as the Ramchal says. Right? The existence that could have had, Adam Rishon could have had he not sinned, that is going to be the existence of the future. Okay, I know it's taken us maybe 7 or 8 classes, but we finished Mashiach. Wow. So where do we go from here? So next class, we'll begin Olam Haba, what the next world is really going to be like, and what the next world is. Where is Olam Haba? That will be next class. So please bring your books next class. We're back into our books. Okay, for next class. Have a wonderful Shabbat Shalom.